regardless of the things we can complain about, because there's always bad to see, and you can always identify something negative, but there's always so much good in
I,
in the bad, as I should say.
I always tell people you can always find bad. You can also always find good as well.
I always say your happiness is based off of your perception. There's always going to be bad, and there's always going to be situations that we can't control, but you can always find the good in those situations. And if you can control them, there's always a solution. I don't know if you look at you know Joe Dispenza. I'm actually studying him a lot more now, and the rewiring of my brain. And I'm going to also like regular therapy for the first time, and that has probably been one of the biggest blessings through this journey, because there was a lot of things that I thought that I healed, but I didn't.
Join me, Jeremy Swick, on Into the Unknown, a podcast that delves into the personal journeys, stories, and experiences of individuals across diverse professions. As a historian by trade, I firmly believe that our personal histories shape our present and offer valuable insights into our paths ahead. With that being said, let's get into it. On this episode of Into the Unknown, I am joined with a very special guest, Meagan Dihom. How you doing, Meagan?
Hey, I woke up today. I cannot complain. How are you doing?
I can't complain. I think that's so important. Like literally, just the gratitude of waking up every day. Of course, it's not easy every day, but I'd rather be up than not.
That's true. And it's like humans have so much hope. We like set alarms for the next day. We plan our future, but like tomorrow is not always guaranteed. So every single day I wake up, I'm just like, God is good. I woke up today. Um, Regardless of the things we can complain about, because there's always bad to see, and you can always identify something negative, but there's always so much good in
I,
in the bad, as I should say.
I always tell people you can always find bad. You can also always find good as well. I'm definitely a glass half full kind of person.
That's same. I always say your happiness is based off of your perception, and I learned that from the School of Greatness, and he actually changed my life twice now. That podcast from Lewis Howes, and that actually changed my perception on life in a sense. Like meaning is like, for instance, there's always going to be bad, and there's always going to be situations that we can't control, but you can always find the good in those situations. And then there's also things that you can control, and if you can control them, there's always a solution. So that's how I kind of navigate this life for sure.
It's so true, and I think I always tell people it's definitely a learned behavior a lot for a lot of people. It's not instantly you're just a always grateful, always gratitude, always looking positively. I think sometimes we need to find outlets or find education, whether it's in the classroom or through a podcast, just kind of how to
Mhm.
reframe your thinking.
It's like rewiring your brain. It's, if you stay in certain patterns, or you stay with a negative mindset. I don't know if you look at you know Joe Dispenza. I'm actually studying him a lot more now, and the rewiring of my brain. And I'm going to also like regular therapy for the first time, and that has probably been one of the biggest blessings through this journey, because there was a lot of things that I thought that I healed, but I didn't. And I honestly never stopped. I never thought I was going to stop smoking weed. I was in the industry for 10 years. What got me into the industry 10 years ago was my dad passing away. And that's when like I started studying the medicinal aspect of cannabis, and I helped a lot of people. I got a ton of certificates. I worked in retail. I was a business development manager, sales manager, VP of sales at one point, production. I worked in manufacturing and distribution facilities, but mostly I got to help a lot of people by my own research, one on one, and by also providing education to bud tenders that are in dispensaries, and also being able to help consumers with the knowledge that I had. Drinking really never benefited me. It's it was probably I I would drink and then I'd black out, but it wasn't drinking for fun. And I didn't realize that I was using substances to essentially numb myself. So, like, although this injury that I went through sucks, it was very painful. I didn't expect it. It didn't expect it. God gave me another chance to restart, essentially. So, I completely wiped out all substances. And I am going through therapy. I have healed some things already that I thought I healed, and I in fact did not. And it's the first time in my life I'm not in fight or flight. In other words, so it's a great feeling. I encourage everybody to go to therapy, even if you feel like you don't have, like, you're like, oh, I don't need it, I don't need it. It's great to go, not to have a conversation and just vent. If you find the right therapist that essentially fits you and your needs, they give you tools to help you rewire your brain, help you overcome things that you think you overcome, because everybody has trauma. I don't care what anybody says, everybody does. And, I got to a point where I realized that a lot of my traumas were bleeding into other people's lives. And I didn't, obviously not intentionally, so it was my responsibility to heal the things inside me and become whole. So I, one, don't do that. And two, I don't attract the types of people that I have attracted in the past. So it's a great place, honestly. And then obviously I'm in physical therapy. That's physical though.
Megan, I appreciate you sharing that. I think so much of it also is the law of attraction. We kind of attract what we are, or who we are, or at least what we're portraying to the world. So, as
Mhm.
you
What we
mentioned,
vibrate at.
exactly as you mentioned, getting that, I want to say right frame of mind, but a more whole frame of mind, I think is important.
For sure. For sure.
So, I always like to kick off the show and like talk about the importance of networking. How do we know each other?
TikTok. So, throughout this journey, I injured myself April 29th. I dislocated my kneecap, I tore my ACL, my MCL, I got a bucket tear in my meniscus, which means the meniscus tore, flipped over, preventing me from having range, and then I tore more parts of the meniscus on the other side. So I have 6 stitches on the inside, four on the outside. The MCL is also torn, and my shin dented my femur and misaligned my leg, um, forever. So I actually started streaming a while ago. I would say in like 2020. I've always enjoyed it. When I first got into streaming, I love the networking aspect. It's a great marketing tool. And also, like, I intentionally try to create a safe space for people with good energy and good vibes, and just network, talk about life, talk about just the most random things. But a lot of people utilize my streams to get away, and to kind of get away from reality for a second and just be surrounded by nothing but just good energy and love. I stopped streaming for a couple of years until this injury. So that's how I met lovely Jeremy, through my streaming. And that's how we met networking.
Um,
Networking is life. Life is all about who you know.
I could not agree more. I think networking is so important. It's so funny because you don't really know where you're going to meet people or how you're going to meet people. And of course, there's positives and negatives about social media. I get it.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it's like everything. There's positives and negatives of everything, and I think
Mhm.
so much of obviously my business has come from social media, from marketing, from networking with people, finding ways we could potentially help each other, or at least provide value, whether it's doing clips for someone, or
Yeah,
helping them edit, or just giving advice. I meet with a lot of people just wanting to start podcasts, and I kind of give my input on helping them along that journey. So I just think networking is such an important tool.
it is. It is. For sure.
So I want to know that comic book issue number one, that origin story. Who are you?
Well, I'm Egyptian and Saudi Arabian. My mom is Egyptian. My dad's Saudi Arabian. I currently am with my mom. My dad actually passed away, a while back, right after I got out of a high school. That's actually what got me into like the cannabis industry. That's where I discovered the passion for the plant and utilizing the plant to help others with different elements and illnesses. Um, I'm 27 years old. I have been an athlete for 22 years. I played at San Bernardino Valley College. I started playing soccer at 5. 5 years old, I was an ASO. I went into club. I was in multiple clubs throughout, my teenage years. And then I went to San Bernardino Valley College where I played 2 years of soccer. I did get a scholarship and I didn't end up going, but everything happens for a reason. That's what brought me to the cannabis industry. I also snowboard. So I've been snowboarding for 11 years. I'm just athletic. I'm just all around athletic. However, I never liked the gym until this injury. I'm actually addicted. I'm addicted to the progress. I'm addicted to feeling good, my health. So my whole life, it transformed. I actually have an older brother. He's a computer engineer, project manager. And I have a younger brother who's 25. I have a younger sister who's 21, and then I have a half brother. And then there's me. I'm the second.
What got you into sports growing up?
Actually, my dad, my parents. So my dad would always go to my ASO soccer games. I actually have a picture on my wall, and ever since then, I've just loved it. I just never stopped playing. I played competitively for 17 years, and then just 22 total. Like how I injured myself, I was just playing games every Monday. It's like an adult league, and then I'd snowboard on the weekends.
So take me back to that injury. What all happened?
Well, first and foremost, do not wear cleats on turf. I knew better, but at the same time, I was in college and they never told me anything. Anyways, so because well, I'm sure it's my genetics too. I'm super flat footed and my ankles kind of go in. So when I was running, I planted my foot, and because I was wearing regular cleats, my cleat got stuck. And then the momentum of me running just dislocated my knee, which pretty much tore everything. It was probably the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And I've had like a significant amount of injuries, like significant dislocated wrist, broke my tailbone. I dislocated my wrist twice. Fractured my back, so my ankles. So that was by far the worst pain I've ever felt. And then when I got to the hospital, they didn't know I had a bucket tear, clearly. They didn't give me an MRI. They only gave me an X-ray, so they saw the dislocation and somebody popped it back into place at the field. Um and my leg got stuck like this, so it was at a 90-degree angle and they had to put me in a straight brace because my knee was dislocated, and they pretty much forced it against. It was horrible. It was horrible. They forced it against, like, the way it was stuck. So then I was stuck like that until I got surgery June 19th. And then after surgery on July 31st, I had to get a knee manipulation because I had such crazy scar tissue buildup and it wasn't breaking up by just moving. So he put me back under at the surgery center and they put me back to sleep and they broke my scar tissue with their hands. So it took about 25, 30 minutes where they just kept on just doing this and broke my scar tissue. They did put me on some crazy meds. Crazy meds. I was on Oxy Percocet. They gave me morphine the first week, um, tramadol, and muscle relaxers. And it's like obviously I wasn't abusing them. They were I was taking them for the pain, so I didn't feel anything. However, I was taking them for like a month already, a month and a half, to a point where I stopped. Like when I wouldn't take them, I now understand why the opioid addiction and crisis is so bad and why the suicide rate is so high, because let me tell you what it did to my mental health. Even though I was utilizing it for pain, I didn't realize what it was doing to like my receptors in my body, my head, my mindset. um I actually looked up at God. I said, God help me. I looked at God and I said, God help me, I don't want to keep going. It was probably just as bad as it was physically. It was just as bad mentally. Like I definitely met the most broken version of myself in this year. Where all I had, I mean, I was sitting down for 5 months and it was just me. Like I have a great support system. I'm so blessed for my family, my friends, and even the people that are all over the internet and that have been supporting me through this. But there was a lot of moments I had to deal with things alone. And it was just me and God. And when I prayed after I had these really, really, really negative thoughts about just giving up on myself, I looked up and I prayed to him. I opened my phone and I come across a live stream called Recovery John. And you guys can find him on TikTok. He was the biggest blessing. I had the courage to like write in his chat, and we got on the phone and he shared multiple stories including his, and I never touched the medication again. And I went through probably one of the hardest parts and most painful because it was after the knee manipulation without medication, and I did it all with the power of your mind, because believe it or not, your mind is very, very, very powerful. You can literally heal yourself, so it's been a ride.
I believe it. I think so much of, as you talked about, is people don't understand how powerful their mind actually is. And I think once people get to the point or get to the ability to start unlocking that, it's almost a little scary how much you can. If I want this to happen, I always joke, like I told you earlier, I got a new client. I knew I was going to get
Mhm.
this client the second they reached out. I just there was something in me when they described what they were looking for. I'm like, oh, I got you. Here's let me give me a couple days, let me get everything together. And I sent it off to him and kind of forgot about it. And I was like, either I'm going to get it or I'm not. But I feel good
Uh,
enough at this point when I know it's a good pitch and all that. And of course, yesterday they reached back out. Hey, we'd love to work with you. It's like, all right, let's go. And I think the more and more you do something, the more and more you see success with it, you start to actually just kind of embrace it. You know.
Oh, for sure. We really do set our own limitations in life. And throughout this journey, that's what I learned. I did not. So when I got my injury, I was not in a good mental space. Like, I did not put in, I'm the only one who knows how much effort I put in at the beginning. And let me tell you, I did not put in enough. There was a time where I took 3 weeks off in the first 3 months, which was the most crucial time. I did not start walking until mid-August. So I had extreme muscle atrophy. Um, October comes around like October 14th. That's when I began strengthening and started going to the gym and got myself up and gave myself this goal every single day to get in the gym, and then I became obsessed. So every single 2 weeks I go to physical therapy, and then I go to the gym other days, and I do the biotex test, which tests the strength of my leg. And every 2 weeks I increase between 8 to 13%. And it's I'm not even 9 months. My graft isn't even healed, and I'm running, I'm jogging, I'm jumping, I'm kicking a ball, like I'm running around. And my muscle mass, like I did my body scan at the gym, and my legs are symmetrical. So I didn't begin, so within a 2-month period, if that, I was able to do that. And that was all a mindset. It wasn't, and also God. I think it was God too, because there was a time I was in Texas. These two individuals come up to me, and I don't know them, obviously. I'm from California. And he says, "Hey, I know this sounds weird, but God needed me to tell you something." And I responded, I was like, "What, did he call you?" And they obviously start laughing. And then he's like, "No, but he needed me to tell you that, like, he's with you and you're gonna be okay. And he's in your corner, but he needs you to do a surrender prayer with him." And I asked the girl, I'm like, "How did you know?" She goes, "I can see it." So I do the surrender prayer. They both get down on one knee and they pray over my knee. They grab my knee and they pray over it. I go to the doctor about 4 days later. My surgeon was like, "Wow, you're doing so well, like this and that." I didn't do anything for 2 weeks while I was there, mind you. And I'm 6 months post-op. I have no degrees off. I'm fully extending and I'm fully bending. But again, it was consistency. Like, I stayed consistent with myself, even in the time that I did not think I was going to make it. Like, I was told I have a 75% chance of re-injury. I'm not going to be the same, potentially not be able to run again. Like, he walked in, my surgeon literally walked in the first day I saw him, and he was like, "You have a really bad knee injury." But blessings to the surgeon I had. His name's Hassan Saeed. He was immaculate. If it wasn't for him either, I probably wouldn't be here. He was able to pretty much repair my knee that should have been done in multiple surgeries in one. And he's the one who insisted the manipulation. I come across a lot of people with similar injuries or injuries like that. And they were like, "What? What's a manipulation?" They still can't bend. They still can't extend. It's sometimes scar tissue builds up to a point where it just, you can't bend or extend. And because he did that a month after, um, I don't really have any scar tissue buildup, and I have no issues bending or extending. And I'm sure that played like a significant role. But I'm telling you, I did not think I was gonna like run. I didn't think my muscle was going to come back. I didn't even think that my quad was going to activate, because at first it wasn't. And there's been, like, there's people I talked to, one of my old soccer friends, her whole quad wasn't activating a year after surgery. And that, I guess, tends to happen. So I just stayed consistent with myself, and I didn't give up on myself, and I want to run again. I want to kick a ball again.
Absolutely, Megan. You keep going back to this idea of consistency. And even after your injury, of course, it wasn't right away. You had that kind of, rock bottom moment or months, but eventually you did get back to going and being consistent. And I think that's so important. Even if you don't start out consistent, even if you are at that rock bottom moment, you can turn that switch back on with, as you mentioned, with getting help, getting, you know, finding ways to re-motivate you and re-engage yourself into back into that consistency.
Exactly, exactly. Because I was not consistent at first. I didn't understand why it was happening to me. I was like, my life is over. I'm like, how can I just go through this again? Like, how am I going to make it out? And mind you, like, the first 3 months are the most crucial. That's where, like, you heal, and that's where permanent damage, like, happens.
Mhm.
And um, I remember the switch, and I looked at myself like, how did I end up here? So it was, regardless of that situation, that was the biggest blessing, because that situation allowed me to look at me and the things that I needed to, like, look within to heal, so I didn't continue on patterns. I didn't miss red flags when they're right in front of my face. And this is just like in life. It allowed me to find me and remind myself who I was, because I've always had the drive, I've always had the ambition. In the last 10 years, I've done pretty well for myself in how many people I've networked with, the relationships I've built, the types of jobs I inserted myself in when I didn't even know what I was doing. And there were times that I was like, yep, I can do it. They had no idea I didn't know how to do it, but I figured it
I'll
out and I did
figure out
well.
later.
Yeah, I did well. I did well. And they had no idea, and I had the drive, the ambition, because I wanted to launch a brand. So I created a brand in honor of my father. I never ended up launching it. I'm still going to launch it, just not in the industry. It's super cool branding. It's based off an ancient Egyptian goddess, and I'm mimicking the logo. And each point on on the leaf represented a chakra. So it was mind, body, healing, your soul. It was beautiful. And I would say that that goal in particular is what kept me going, because once I didn't reach that and I didn't continue to set goals for myself, because I stopped giving a shit about myself in all reality. Like, I was in fact self-sabotaging, numbing myself to a point where I was just numb, you know? Then it got to that point, and I wanted to actually, before I injured myself, I was looking to, like, move to Colorado and find, like, a different job somewhere else. I'm like, why don't I feel my spark anymore? And it was just consistent chaos in the last year. And then that was the day before I injured myself. I was like, yo, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, help me, because I lost the spark, and I still went out and helped other people. I still put people in front of me, because I thought that helping others and being there for others and getting up and neglecting myself to go be there for other people and help them was going to fill that void in me. It made me, it was definitely a really hard look at myself and who I am and where I'm at. And honestly, it was God. Like, I didn't know I got out of it. There's times I'm like, I have no idea, and it was the biggest blessing that can probably have ever happened in my life. Even though it was shitty, it was
Megan,
blessing.
I appreciate that.
It also led me to a new passion of mine that I never thought I would embrace. And like I said, I never liked gym. Like, I liked soccer. I loved being an athlete. I'll go play volleyball on the beach. I'll go play kickball. I'll go play football, you know. But I never was in the gym. And because of this injury, and, like, me getting healthy, I don't eat bad. I drink way more water. I don't take any substances, and I go to the gym every single day like it's clockwork. And for me to get to where I'm at by just being consistent and motivating my own self, to get up and go even on days that I didn't want to. Um it sparked something in me to want to be able to do that for others.
Title of the podcast, Into the Unknown. I know we talked a little bit about your certifications, but once you're done with that, how much longer do you have on that, and what's next for you?
So I'm currently going to I'm getting my personal training certificate, and it's comes with like five. So I'm getting the corrective exercise specialization, personal trainer, nutrition, metabolic makeover, and my CPR certification. I want to be able to help as many people as I can with similar injuries and or just become healthier and develop a healthier lifestyle and better habits. And I also want to open up a gym. um, I'm not going to say exactly what the gym has because it's going to be super unique, which is tailoring to a lot of the things that I experienced. Because let me tell you, the mental rut is just as worse as like the physical. If you're an athlete and you know you sit down for 5 months, you're not able. Like I'm on the third floor. I had to use the fire department to come like take me upstairs for like my surgery. Um, and thinking you're never going to run again, and or just sitting in your room staring at the ceiling, and it's been a ride for sure. And honestly, the last year, it's friendships dissipated. I'm not really a loss, but I lost people for say, almost died in a fire, slipped a disc in my neck. um and then December 1st of last year, I had an infection that spread to like multiple organs in my body and caused appendicitis. And then I had to get emergency surgery. So I almost died then too. And then about 4 months later, 5 months later, I dislocated my kneecap. The day before I dislocated my kneecap, I was giving up. I looked up, I said, it's in your hands. Like, I'm not a religious person. I believed in God, but I don't think I ever had faith until now because I there was no who the hell can help me? Like nobody can help me. So I looked up, I said, it's in your hands. Then my knee dislocated the next day. I did not understand the purpose. I didn't see it. I didn't see the light. Um, I was still like, I had like an absolute mental breakdown where like my whole body was pulsating. Like I hit my perception of complete rock bottom, but it wasn't rock bottom because I asked for it. I asked for a moment to reinvent myself and for another chance, and he was just actively removing people. I wasn't even having to do anything. They were just doing weird shit. And they just, did it themselves. And a lot of moving parts. And now that I'm where I'm at, what, it's 8 months later from the injury, I look back, I'm a whole different person. Like, I'm still have the heart that I have, but I made the conscious decision to be better, heal things inside me that made me feel so broken, and, become whole to a point where all I want to be surrounded by is people who genuinely love and care for me. And my life purpose is to help others. Back So I have 365 days to complete them. I'm giving myself a month. So I at least spend 5 to 6 hours daily on chapters, quizzes, exams. I want to start, working at a gym and have, my own clients, which I already have people that are reaching out to me, which is super dope. And then eventually by the end of the year, I do, or within the next 5 years, but I'm giving myself the end of the year. It's okay if you don't reach your goals, but at least set one. I really want to open up a gym, and a gym, again, like I said, tailored to specific, injuries. And I don't want to say too much because it's going to be super unique. It is going to be a regular gym like we all attend, but it's going to be different than any other gym out there. So that's definitely my next steps. I still love streaming, so I still stream at the same time. But I'm giving myself 3 months, if that, to when I can start. Because then my 3 months from now is my 9 month mark, where my ACL graft will be completely healed. Because it's like, yeah, I'm doing all this, but like I'm still not fully healed. So I'm gonna give myself that 9 months for my grafts to heal. um and then I'm gonna start working. I guess like this certification, like, course, is like a job guaranteed. So I will have a job, whether it's at a private gym or the gym down the street. So that's my next steps. That's my next steps. I want to be able to help people get through the things that I've gotten through, or find a healthier lifestyle. And honestly, I love motivating people and giving people tools to be successful, and that's what I've always done. So what's a better way to do that in the gym, where you're exercising while also helping with nutrition and helping you live a healthier lifestyle? That's kind of where I'm at. So I'm excited for my next chapter. Eventually I want to podcast myself. I've always said that. Everybody always tells me to. But that's definitely down the line. First and foremost, I'm going to get my certification, and I will utilize my social medias. Like, my video went super viral. It hit 4 million on Instagram, hit 1.7 million on TikTok. Of course, it'd be me obliterating myself with nobody touching me. Hey, but it's there. And even with the content that I post, I help so many people, because I'm telling you, the mental is probably the hardest part.
I love that. If people want to learn more about you, what are your handles on social? Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook. I am actually going to make a YouTube and document my entire journey. I took so many videos, like the entire journey for myself. I didn't expect myself to like document everything. Um, so my handles are Megtastic, like fantastic, but Megtastic with two C's and an underscore. And then my Facebook is my first and last name, which is Meagan Dihom.
Megan, we'll make sure we list those in the show notes. But again, I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. I really did appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me.
That was another fun episode of Into the Unknown. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. And if it provides you any value or entertainment, I would love if you shared it with others, liked, subscribed, and really just help the podcast grow. Again, tell a friend, tell a foe, just anyone who might enjoy hearing some stories of people's own journeys and what got them to where they are today. Till next time.